let me get over here. It says we are live, so I am going to assume that Amber, both you and I are live. So hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to what has been a very most energetic morning. Been a challenge getting even to the live version of this show to even get live. But Bosto to everyone, favor. You are empowered to prosper, nothing missing, nothing broken being your lives. Thank you, moderators, and welcome everyone. We have our special guest. Many of you know her from Fridays when we do the card reading, Miss Amber Dawn. How are you doing, Amber?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing really good, Wayne. How are you?
It's good. I am well. I'm well. It was a very peaceful morning up until about literally about an hour ago. And then things started going haywire, but doing good, doing good. Been looking forward to having you on.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it too. Kind of nervous.
Well, it's going to be fun. That's what I tell everybody. It's always fun. Just say every hi to everyone in the chat room. Marsha, good to see you. Robert V, David Castle, healings to you, brother. David Barry, 75. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Gaza.
Hello.
Gaza is from Australia, so we have folks all the way around the world. What do we do with that, Amber? We give them a 2 spins. Big Al Cirillo's in the room. And by the way, it is Big Al's anniversary. Way to go, buddy. Trust will be a good one. Oh, are you on
Happy
the road, by the way?
anniversary.
Yeah. Don't know. There's Critical Thinker. Good to see you.
You know
Robin,
what?
good to see you. What's up?
My computer's glitching, so hopefully we can get through this stream.
Oh, we're going to be fine. I'm going to speak, I'll speak favor over the situation and just get the gremlins out. We'll just do a little house cleaning. Everyone in the group, just focus in on Amber, focus in on her internet connection, and we'll give it a boost of steroids. How's that? We see you. We just can't hear you. There you are.
My computer's glitching. I really hope it works.
It's odd that you say this, Amber, because literally before I was sitting here and doing something, and about 22 minutes after the hour, my computer just starts acting up like yours. In fact, I lost my Wi-Fi adapter. So I didn't even know that we were going to do a show, and now you're having issues on your end. So it just tells me we got good stuff in store. She looks steadily at the computer. Well, we can see you. You're just kind of, you're doing what actually is in real life is that we don't have a continuous motion. We have so.
Frustrating.
Nope, we're not going to let that happen. We can see you fine, Amber.
See if I move it.
Okay.
I just can't hear very well. So let's see if I move it over here.
Yeah, there you go. In the meantime, how is everyone out there in the chat room? Thank you for tuning in. So good to see you all. Exciting times we're living in. While Amber's getting all of her things together, and we are seeing her getting a strong signal, good audio, and good video. That's how we confess it here. Abracadabra, we just make it so. So I'm excited about this because we're talking about empaths. Many of us here are empaths. And while Amber she's getting on her end, there you are. We can see you really good.
Cross fingers.
I know it's going to be fine. I just know it's going to be fine. There. Okay. So we'll start again. Hi, Amber. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. I always
Uh,
have these issues. Like whenever I go live, like I swear the gods are against me.
well, make a deal with them, make them a dinner and say, all right, now let's just talk about this.
Yeah, I'll meditate today, I swear.
Yes. Just, make sure that, you get the freeway cleaned up. Well, it's so good to see you, Amber. How's everything on your end besides, getting the technical issues out? But that's a commonality, so we're all used to that.
Everything's been really good. Just gonna start looking for some work, and I guess I have to go back to work,
Uh,
So,
it's
but everything's been good. My mom's about to retire, so we're gonna throw her a party, and so it's been good.
excellent, excellent. Well, the thing is people will find this out. You never actually retire. Yeah, I mean, you'll find out that you have this long list of things that you want to do now. And it's a shame that we have to work most of our life never pursuing the things which we came into this world to actually do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to
Sure.
figure that out.
Well,
I have a hard time with nasty customers.
well, I can certainly understand that. Um, and people today, they do have a tendency to be a little short, uh, in not in statute, mostly in good manners, or at least that's what I've seen. So Amber, Intuitive Empath, how did you come up with that handle? It's a name. In fact, there is an actual classification for intuitive empaths. There's intuitives, there's empaths, and then you have this joining of where you actually have intuitive empaths.
Well, I've always been very aware of everything that's going on, and oftentimes before things happen, I can just see patterns, and um, I'm very good at reading people, and I don't know where it comes from. It's just a knowing of just a knowing, and then the empathy is I I lived with anxiety for a really long time and I didn't realize it. And I just realized that because I used to always say I can feel everyone, like it when I would work at Costco or around a lot of people, I would always be like, I can feel everything. It short circuited me. And so I realized like this is a little deeper than just anxiety. This is like I'm feeling other people. So that's where it came from.
It's interesting. You described many of the attributes that, and again, if we would teach this in the schools and at a very young age, we would have so many people that would be so more advanced. I got a little test, Amber, that I pulled up, and I thought maybe we let the audience have some fun with this as well. So this is an empath self-assessment test. All right. So answer the following questions, either yes or no. And Amber, you can do the same thing. I've already taken the test, so I already have my score. So you keep your score, Amber, and then we'll tally it up at the end. There's 20 questions. First question is, I have been labeled as overly sensitive, shy, or introverted in my life. Yes or no? Two, do I frequently get overwhelmed or anxious? Do arguments or yelling make me ill? Do I often feel like I don't fit in? I am drained by crowds and need alone time to revive myself. I am overstimulated by noise, odors, and nonstop talkers.
6 for 6 so far for me.
7, do I have chemical sensitivities or can't tolerate scratchy clothes? Do I prefer taking my own car places so I can leave early if I need to? Boy, that had Wayne Steiger, all Wayne Steiger written all
Yeah.
over it. 9, do I overeat to cope with stress? 10, Am I afraid of becoming suffocated by intimate relationships? 11. Do I startle easily? 12. Do I react strongly to caffeine or medications? 13. Do I have a low pain threshold? 14. Do I tend to socially isolate? 15. Do I absorb other people's stress, emotions, or symptoms? 16. Am I overwhelmed by multitasking and prefer doing one thing at a time? 17. Do I replenish myself in nature? 18. Do I need a long time to recuperate after being with difficult people or energy vampires? Whoa! Yeah. 19. Do I feel better in small cities or the country other than large cities? And finally, 20. Do I prefer one-to-one interactions or small groups rather than large gatherings? So, Amber, based upon this, how you calculate your results, if you've answered yes to 1 to 5 questions, you're at least partially an empath. If responding to 6 to 10 questions mean you have moderate empathic tendencies, responding yes to 11 to 15 means you have strong empathetic tendencies. And finally, answering yes to more than 15 questions means that you are a full-blown empath. My score was 16. It could have been 17, but I erred on conservative side, so 16. And what was yours? 20 for 20?
No, mine was like 17.
17. Isn't that
Mhm.
interesting? So, I thought that that was really interesting. I'm looking in the chat room and I'm trying to see, Thalos, Zyko says all but 4. So you're a 16 critical thinker. These are yes or no. Yes, that's all they are. They're yes or no. Peter says 15, John Price 17, Squirrel Q 19, Gilbert Smith 16. So there you go. Red Roof 19, Lucky Stone 16, 16 out of 20. There you go. All right.
Birds
Red
of a
Roof
feather
19.
flock together.
I don't know how you get a half a point, but I guess that's true. I mean, I looked at that, some of those. I don't have a problem with eating. So that one, it was like, but then I love chocolate, you know. I just
Yeah,
recently,
that's one of the ones that I don't have issues with eating anymore.
ah,
Um, once I figured out what was going on, like, and I started meditating, I stopped having issues with eating. But I do like to drink a lot of wine. So that's a half a point, I think, for that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to be a real wine snob, I mean, ask Lynn. I mean, if it wasn't certain wineries or whatever, so I can understand it. And then, I had this awakening, this thing, and the thing about it is I lost my taste for wine, and that sucked.
I was
So,
hoping that would happen to me. I lost my taste for strong alcohol,
okay. Yeah.
but I'm also allergic to gluten. It just makes me feel horrible. So that
Mm,
helped. But
yeah, I could see that. It's amazing when this transformation starts taking place because it really does start affecting your body. And intuitives, particularly, it's gotten so bad for me that I can't really go into large places anymore. I don't know about yourself. You recently were traveling, right?
mhm.
Did you have to fly?
Yes.
How was that experience?
It wasn't bad. I just get nervous before just
Hmm.
because the airport's stressful having to go through all of that stuff, but I'm pretty chill. I'm pretty aware of my own bubble and my own energy and
Good.
you know, it's when I have issues with big crowds, it's when, going out to bars, which I never do, working in places with large amounts of people because it's just overwhelming all that energy. It feels like it hurts, it's very painful. And then people, because I'm a reactor. I'm a runner, I'll run, or I'll react. And so people don't, I've been labeled as being way overly sensitive a lot, but it's like, well, I can feel you. I can see
It's
you.
like,
Like I know what's going on, you know. It's hard for me to turn a blind eye when my whole body is being absorbed by this.
yeah, yeah. I used to run myself. Unfortunately, I've had 5 knee surgeries, and the last one, yeah, the doctor said, "Listen, you can continue to run, but you'll need a knee replacement." And so I took it. So, and it's interesting because I find myself now, I can't tolerate arguments. If I begin to sense the energy coming in, I'll literally cut the conversation off,
Hmm.
walk away from it.
I always feel guilty too. Like, you know, it's like there's this fine balance between expressing yourself and then overstepping, you know? So
Mhm.
it's sometimes I retreat, you know, because I don't want to offend anybody because I can be kind of brutally honest sometimes and hit marks that people don't really want me to dabble in. So I'm still learning on just, you know, when to keep quiet and when somebody needs to hear something.
It's interesting. Critical Thinker 313 says, "Can't go to the grocery store without some talking to me about." It's interesting because in a grocery store, it's one of those places you have to go to. Well, I guess you can. Here we have where they can literally, you can order it. But I still like to go in and pick my food out. But you can walk by. Certain people can, and even with the social distancing, I mean, their energy fields are like intense, and it's not always on the positive side either.
No, especially these days, people are losing it a little bit.
I
But I
I was
think it's part of the process, you know, because when I first found out about, I mean, there's so much, but you know, you first start finding out about what's going on in the world, and then you find out about your own power, and you realize how much responsibility you have within that. It takes you through this emotional ride, you know, and then if you work on the dark night of the soul, I mean, it just, it brings up this whole other side that you didn't realize.
yeah, yeah, abs I had the most strangest experiences that as we continue on the channel here and as I bring the material forward, that we really are creators ourselves. And as empaths, it validates for me that there is a higher existence. Um, we will do very well in the spirit realm because we're so already used to people's emotions. It's not that great of a leap to actually become telepathic. And I think that's where a lot of the empathic blockage is that we don't know how to be telepathic to fellow empaths, much less people that we meet in everyday life.
And I think a lot of empaths don't realize that not only do we feel everything, but it's our responsibility to um, learn how to manage that energy within yourself, because if you're having certain reactions within yourself, that is a chance for us to release that. And when you do that, it heals them as well. You know, even if you don't know them, as long as you focus on your own energy and transform that, it's very helpful.
Interesting you use that word transform. I put a PowerPoint together we get to in a second. It's so in my meditation time, in learning in manifestation of each thought that comes forth, I have found myself being at times with the negative darts, uh, it's like our opposition likes to throw darts at our thoughts, and it occurred to me, and in fact, I sensed this voice within that said, if you will learn to transmute energy, you are an energy being. And if negative energy is coming at you, consume it and transmute it into a positive force that you will then feed off of. And boy, I mean, for me, that was like a moment of revelation. What do you think on that? Amber froze up on us. She'll be back. You see
Uh-oh.
this? Yeah, that's all right. You only froze up for about 30 seconds, although you're still froze up, but we can hear you. That's okay. I can hear you. Are you
I
still?
am frozen.
Now you're unfrozen.
I can barely hear, like, you're glitching on my
Yeah, now your
end.
voice is cutting
Move
out.
on to my iPad. Maybe that would be
That's
okay.
okay.
Let's see.
You're coming in fine now. So I just want to say you're
Okay. If I have to, I'll switch to my iPad.
okay. Well, that's up to you. Um, I'm just going to read some of the comments while Mossy Man says transmute direct energy weapons and neural weapons. You see, it's very interesting. I think for myself, you're there? Amber, we can see you. Well, we could. Let's see. Wise April Fool says, any advice on where to start with studying how to transmute energy? Shannon, that is a good question. And it's one that I'm going to spend tomorrow dealing with because we don't get taught these things. I mean, how do I transmute negative energy? I mean, Amber, are you there? That's okay. She has a lovely picture, and so we can just see it. She'll be back on, folks. It's just the internet, and they're just doing it. I was always a person, I learned that one of my weaknesses was, well, she'll be back. We'll just keep on going. That I could be easily manipulated. Here she comes back by not knowing how to handle the energy around me. And particularly in the type of world, the corporate world where I came out of, you have a constant flow of energy, all different kinds. Hey, Amber, how are you? We can see you. Until Amber, when you get it up there and you can hear, just let me know. Of course, I could do the sign language. But anyway, getting back to that question, April Fool, that is a good question because I found that it was a weakness that although I was in a leadership position, there were moments where the energy, and we'll let her come back in, was extremely difficult. And the energy in many times are pretty intense. Hello there, Amber. Now I see you. Let me put this one out. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Why do I have two of you?
That's because I had my my computer on still. So
Okay.
okay, we're good.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
Sorry, everyone.
It's fine. She's doing fine. That's the great thing about having devices, multi-devices, although we can still see you on, I guess it was your computer there.
You
Down at the,
can.
yeah, it's down on the bottom. Let me see. I'll just mute. In fact, it won't go away. Well, that's cool. We're living in 2 time zones, so
Really?
how are you doing there?
Okay, cool. I think
All
we're
right.
good.
We're good. We're good.
I missed almost everything you said, so I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. The audience got most of it. What I was talking about was the ability of you before we started getting cut out on the internet was that you were talking about every person has a of energy field around them. And this energy is really representative of their polarity. If a person is negative by nature, no matter the positive energy around them, they will transmute that energy into negative energy. It's the polarity of what their soul or their spirit is. And we do it naturally all the time. It's except when we get into environments that, as we become more aware of the empathic abilities, that these energies become much more difficult to handle.
And
Would
I
you
think
agree?
that, yeah, and I think that when you're not aware of it, though, it makes it more difficult because you don't know why you're feeling a certain way, you know, why you're reacting certain ways. When you're aware of it, I think it gives you that opportunity to work with those energies, you know, because
Yeah.
like I said, I had anxiety my whole life and I had no idea. And I used to work out 4 hours a day, always be like, "Wee," and too intense for people because I was carrying all this energy. I wasn't meditating, didn't know. The only release I had was the gym, but that sometimes was too much. So I broke my body down and stuff. So I think it's important to know that you're an empath and to welcome that.
How do you handle in relationships? You know, one of the things that Lynn and I, we learned when she learned that I was an empath, it helped her immensely because there was a time there was a real adjustment between the two of us. I mean, I had been basically single for nearly 20 years because relationships, it was almost like you're reading the other person's mind on top of your mind. And I had one relationship where she just couldn't handle it. She literally said in the middle of the night, "Get the freak out of my head," you know, because I anyway, what would you say to that? I mean, I don't know your status, but I think as an empath, it's difficult, I think, where you get into relationships, particularly where intimacy is concerned.
Yeah, it is. I haven't been in a relationship for 7 years. So, and that goes physical too. I haven't been physical with anyone for 7 years. And and for me, it's because especially when you're in the moment of passion, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
you absorb these people. You know, it's not just a physical encounter, it's a spiritual encounter. And it's just something that I'm not willing to dabble in unless somebody is completely like resonating with me, or I'm resonating with them. And as far as like, I can always tell when people are lying. And then, of course, they're like, you're crazy. And I'm like, later on, I'm proven right, and it's like, so for me, I guess it's actually kind of helpful because I'm more aware of who I'm allowing within my space. And I just don't unless I'm, feeling it. And it's very rare to find someone that you mesh with. And I just don't want to waste my time or energy on it.
I'm just seeing in the chat room, people are identifying, and particularly the women. I love that term, and Susie Q said it's so true. You do absorb that other person, particularly in that moment of intimacy. It's one of the most misunderstood aspects of sex magic. On top of that, is we don't understand we're actually in the act of magic in that moment of intimacy already. And I tell you, I think that that's where a lot of people picked up ticks. I call them ticks, is of past sexual relationships that unfortunately you picked up more than what you were thinking you were getting. It has a tendency to coalesce and collect, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's and when I listen to your story, and now I'm fortunate that I found Lynn, but it's a sacrifice because and maybe you can put it in your own words, but I mean, it's also a way of, I don't know if it's protection or survival or maybe both.
Yeah, I think both, protecting yourself, the energy, and then surviving. Because if you, I've been in relationships that made me want to die. So
Well, you said it, and I'd have to agree with it. There have been some like, what was I thinking? You know?
Yeah. And
Well,
it's kind of sad, and sometimes it's hard to determine um if it's your own paranoia or if it's your empathy and you're actually feeling something, because I know like especially these days, like it's hard to trust people and stuff. So
I hear
sometimes
that
I
all the
battle with that. I'm
time.
like, am I being paranoid? Is this my past experiences creeping in on this? So it's important to learn yourself and to master yourself. I'm not that kind of person that it always has to be in a relationship. I really like to be alone. Um, that's one of the questions on there. Do you have a hard time being in committed relationships, because you want to be alone? Like, that's for me, I just really value my space.
A lot of people are saying, Deborah Son says you're a wise woman. um, all right, so you're an attractive woman. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, I'm not in that scene anymore, but um that would be very difficult. I mean, it today it is with the heightened energy that's already naturally happening to our planet, affecting us. Um, well, I don't know how people get into relationships. Do you find
I
it?
think that more and more people aren't.
I
I
think
have a lot of friends who haven't been in a relationship for a long time.
really.
And it doesn't help that we have so much social media that like
Mm.
expects women to be like this perfect, you know, thing, I guess, for lack of a better term. So it just makes
It's
it
an
difficult.
illusion.
Huh?
It's an illusion. I mean, and it's odd, social media. So the term um, would imply groups, right? Where groups exchange data. And yeah, that's happening. But what I'm seeing is the continuing isolation
Mm-hmm.
of more and more people. And maybe, I don't know, I try to look at the positive all sides. Maybe this is how many people are discovering that they are, in fact, empathic themselves. And because I to me, social media does it. I don't like it.
Yeah, and maybe people are realizing that, there is an energy exchange within a relationship. It's not just what you can do for me and what I can do for you and how you make me feel. Like, of course, how you make me feel is a big part of it, but
Yeah.
it's just maybe people are waking up to not giving away their energy so much.
Can you tell that in a reading when you're doing a reading with a person with the cards? Can you do the
What?
cards say what kind of energy that they're having or
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Yep. Yep.
interesting. Do you and when I learned this that every relationship we have is we carry a part of that DNA with us. And of course, it's not only when you get further along in life and you look back and you go, oh crap, now I know where some of my problems originated from. And I'm curious, how would you go about advising someone how they could begin to cleanse some of that residual energy out? Because if we can absorb it, I would hope that would imply that we could also push it back out.
Mm-hmm. Um, well, learning some release techniques is really important. Tapping. I don't know if you've heard of tapping. Um, Meditating,
Right
bringing
back in.
up stuff on purpose. That's where I started. Is I just started to go into my records and I would bring up the emotion that came with that. And then I would do certain things, working with my energy to circulate it. Acceptance is a huge one. Forgiveness, and like they say, you're forgiving for yourself. Um, because when you're constantly like, I hate that person, this is what they did to me, blah, 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 that's just keeping it there. But when you allow it to surface and then you learn techniques to love that energy and you put that source energy with it to heal it, it does miracles. So
Interesting.
just learn how to release, look up different releasing techniques. It can be very intense because once you bring up one emotion, there's a whole bunch underneath that too. So it's just like this boiling pot, and once you open that, it's just going to bubble over. So it can be pretty intense, but it's incredibly healing because then your subconscious doesn't have to hold on to it anymore.
Yeah. Do you do healing work for people as well?
I used to. I was practicing Reiki for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was learning like pressure points and things like that. So I don't do it really anymore, mostly
Okay.
because I'm kind of a hermit and I just kind of stay within my own circle. Plus, I have, like we were talking about before the show, I have some injuries. So doing pressure points can be a little painful. But I like to do just energy work now.
Cool.
If somebody wants a Reiki healing, I'll totally do it for them. But yeah, I just try to work on my own energy and put out my God source energy to the world and try to heal that way.
Well, I think you're doing a good job. Did you have a an awakening experience in your life? I mean, was your life, did you come out of a religious structure? Do you come out and again, was there this moment of this epiphany when you said things have changed within me?
Yeah. Well, when I was very little, like 5, so super little, my grandparents used to take me to church with them, and I was just kind of like, okay, I never really cared, and then they got kicked out of church because they went to the bar too much, and so that was the end of that. And I used to hear, um I don't know what they were, but I would hear talking and laughing, and lights would go on and off, things would fall off the counter and stuff. So I still see stuff, like I see lights and shadows, and I'm aware of that there's things around me. Um but so when I was younger, I would pray, because that was the thing to do, right? So
Right,
you make
right.
you pray. And so I would go to bed and I'd pray and I'd be like, I feel like I'm repeating myself. Like I feel like this is forced. I'm sorry, if you're offended. So I kind of had that outlook when I was younger. And I used to always say, like, no matter what, I'm on good side. Like I am, because I always wondered, like, well, why didn't I ever get an opportunity to be like famous, or get to spread my wings? But then I realized it's because when I was younger, I said, I am on God's side, and so that wasn't even an option to try becoming famous or whatever. But I think it's like gradual, different life circumstances. I I remember, like, because I was so mean and just really pushed people away, and I just was very angry at the world, and I got tired of feeling that way. And so I made an appointment with a counselor, and he had me meditate, and we meditated together. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I ended up meeting my best friend at the gym, and he didn't tell me for like probably a year that he was super spiritual. But I told him, like, because I feel like I opened that door. I was like, I'm ready to change. And so by making that appointment, the universe brought my best friend into my life, and he started teaching me how to meditate, release, how to be in the moment, that we're creators, all that good stuff. And so it just, once I learned how to do that, I was meditating, for my longest meditation was 8 hours.
Wow.
And I just started meditating a lot by the river and everything, and that's kind of what opened the door for me. It's just slowly getting introduced to new different things, and doing it, and not pushing it away, because I knew I was ready for something different. I was tired of being so mean and negative, and I knew that there had to be something better because I just didn't want to live anymore. I was just so tired of feeling like crap. So
Was it
spirituality
because of
saved
your
my life.
environment? I mean, the anger,
Yeah, I
the
think it's just,
hostility?
being super young, and my mom's been sober for a very long time now, but when I was young, she drank a lot and stuff, and
Mhm.
I ended up having to take care of myself a lot. Um and then, the kids around me, and like a boyfriend, my first boyfriend was horrible. He treated me like crap. So it's just like an accumulation of life.
Yep,
And
yep.
instead of learning how to cope with it, because I was never taught how to cope with it, I just held it in. And yeah,
I can relate. I only knew my mother for about a year and a half, lived with her, and um, she wasn't so much the drinker as her husband was, and I know that experience. In fact, I was telling Lynn here recently, I have moments where I can actually smell things, and it takes me back into my past
yeah,
lives. I can still smell that a tavern. Now in St. Louis, that's what they called them, were taverns, and then their taverns were virtually almost on every corner. It's that smell when you walk into a tavern, it's the beer smell, it's the cigarette smell. And I was like you, I was only 8 years old. And, being around adult drunks, never I would sit there, I think more in shock of seeing their reactions to how they acted. Yes, I know that feeling. I don't know if
I
it was
used to
the
go to the
same.
bar with my mom when I was young, around 8 years old, maybe a little younger. Yeah, like, back then in the '80s, like, yeah, bring your kid in the bar. I was the only kid, but, I was in there playing pool, and, I mean, I had fun, but still, I'm really lucky that nothing ever happened to
Oh,
me.
extremely lucky. My time
So
was
I'm
in the
really
'60s,
grateful.
so yours was in the '80s, but it's not exactly what I would call the most, how should we say, positive environment for a young girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I got
yeah.
to see a lot growing up, but
I
it it
bet you did.
it hardened me a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, it
Learning how to be
happens.
soft.
And, you have a great energy and to me, it's testimony of who and what we are. We're tenacious individuals, and I'm like you. I mean, I had my childhood sucked. I mean, there was nothing good about it. I didn't have a love of a mother, I didn't have a love of a father, but yet through all of that, as where we stand today in 2020, I see you, I hear your story, and I hear others and mine, and we are just magnificent beings. I mean, we take a beating, and yet we have the presence of mind to say, I forgive you. I can accept you conditionally, unconditionally in what you are. At the same time, we're learning barriers that us are very important, and we can't let others damage us.
I'm still working with that, with like forgiving,
Yeah.
people if they cross me and stuff like that. I do tend to kind of hold a grudge sometimes, especially if they don't apologize.
That's part of
But
that transmuting of that anger, and
yeah.
it's not easy. I mean, transmuting energy is not just simply, doing the bewitch thing. Um, I know that that feeling is well. I mean, when I came out of my coma, where I died, and they brought me back, that changed for me. The intuitiveness that I had as a child, I never understood. And we're all empaths and intuitives as children. We come into this realm like that. And I think that that's where so much of that damage, Amber, happens. And yeah,
Mhm.
I see you getting through it though. You have a presence about yourself that, yeah, we
Well,
got a lot
thank
of
you. I
people over here
appreciate
going, yes, 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 Amber.
I
It's
did
like,
want to say, like, one of the things that because you said that when you start to meditate and you start to get into the spirituality, things change for you. And I stopped eating meat. Like, I just remember one day I was looking at my dog and I was like, what the hell am I doing eating animals? And that was it. it was over. Like, you know, and I'm not saying that that's something that's for you to consider. I'm just saying it
Yeah.
was right
No,
for
it's
me to do.
beautiful though.
And it
It's
really
true.
helped to cleanse my body, you know. And then I started focusing instead of on vanity with my working outs, I started actually focusing on my health. And everything changed. I mean, my girl cycle was like balanced out. I was always irregular, and like once I started balancing out my energy, everything balanced out for me. So it's really important. I'm always trying to tell one of my friends, she's always so negative. And I'm like, you know, you're holding this energy and you're just creating crap in your life. And she's like, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. And there has to be a point where it's like, you got to take the reins, man, you know?
Yeah. You do?
So, and it's good for people like us. I'm super stubborn with my friends. Like, I'll just keep drilling it into their heads until they get it, you know?
It sounds like you've done a lot of the work on your own.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I just sit in a room and I connect, you know, and just I'm aware. I'm just aware. And I know that there's so many cool signs that I've had that just tell me like you're on the right path.
Do you
So I
believe
just follow
the
it.
construct of spirits, spirit guides guiding us, directing us?
You know, I don't know, um, because there's been some meditations where I have sat there and I have felt not hands, but it was like this energy, very warm energy, pushing me down slowly to where I would be in lotus position and I would just bend over because had something was laying hands on me.
Yeah.
And I was asking, you know, I was asking because that's the main thing. I really I try to connect to higher than that. I try to connect straight to source and not have any middlemen. Um, but I have noticed that when I ask for help, I tend to get it. So wherever it comes from, I don't know. But you know, it whatever works for you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is I once heard someone say there's many different ways to get to New Orleans. You can walk, you can fly, you can ride a bike, whatever. Or you can, get a private jet and ride, first class. We all eventually, I think, I have to caution though with an asterisk on this. Most of us arrive to the destination that we are destined towards. Some I'm not so sure. I mean, I have I've heard this for a long time that not all humans are the same. Our shells are, our DNA structures are, the points that what makes us bipedals. But inside there are, I think, and that's probably is one of the things I guess we're discovering more and more, we're not all the same origin.
I agree with that. That's why I really have a hard time. I know a lot of people, and my best friend that got me into spirituality, he doesn't really like to listen to all the stuff I have to say about politics and all that, which is totally understandable because he feels like as long as he works with himself, he'll fix, you know, it doesn't matter what's going on. But to me,
Hmm.
I have a hard time with that, like because I don't think we're all the same. I do understand we're all swimming in the same ocean and we
We
all
are.
have an we're all co-creators. I get that. Um, but I don't believe in sticking your head in the sand and pretending like nothing else is going on because I am an empath and I do, you know, but I think the same with him. He's working on his energy and changing his way. And for me, I just have a little different of an angle, you know?
Hmm.
So I kind of struggle with that. Like, do I just not talk about that stuff? Do I just pretend like it doesn't exist or and just focus on myself? Or, you know, I kind of struggle with that because I don't want to put out things that are going to create more negativity, you know? Like look at this, look at that chemtrail, look at this. So I have a hard time balancing that. I'm not sure if I should, you know, just work on myself because I feel like that's just kind of like denial, you know, on what's really going on.
I am I I have an outlet on my radio show where, I do have a tendency to express, my background in politics. And I do have a background in politics and, it's it's more sorcery in politics than I have ever witnessed. It's greater than that which I've experienced in Christianity. It
Yeah,
really
I
is. Yeah.
agree. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's up to us to counteract that magic, that black magic that they practice, because they're doing it whether we want to believe it or not. And so I think that just if we know about it, then we can say no, you know. I feel like if you're just like accepting it, then it's kind of it's like giving your consent in a way.
It's surprising to me, Amber. The the experience that I had, number one, you have to be of a certain wealth stature. They just don't let anyone in. And
Yeah.
then for myself, um, there were at least two boards that I had to pass and had to be voted on. And then the final vote came when I was voted in. And you're so right. I can't speak a lot on this because I just can't. But you are so intuitively, empathically correct. And it's those, you can't ignore it. And hopefully this is the type of work you do by yourself, because if you start getting into groups, you will get targeted really quick. I mean,
Hmm.
they have their ways of knowing these things.
Yeah, I tend to keep pretty quiet, um, like I said, in my own bubble, because like they say, don't tell other people about your manifestations. You know, don't tell people what you're trying to create, because their doubts can affect that, your manifestation. So it can
Fact.
be important to keep it to yourself, because you can be targeted. And I'm pretty sure I've been targeted by, not by people in politics, but just by people that I've maybe pissed off. And I think that
Oh, there's,
because I've known some people that have practiced in black magic, and I think what it's just, you got to be careful
yeah,
and aware.
you have to. There have been people in this tribe that have been targeted.
Hmm.
We upset a lot of power structures here, and it's one of the reasons why I demonetized the channel. I didn't want that added layer looking in on our conversations, and as long
Right.
as we keep it to, what I call respectable high intelligence, we can learn a language that they'll never understand, and we can talk amongst ourselves and they're not really knowing what we're saying.
Hmm.
That's what I love about the tarot cards. The tarot cards, with you, the panel itself, but it's just amazing to me. The It's almost like a magnet, or actually, let me just rephrase this. It's like a television screen you're seeing, because it actually taps into that person. That is empathic and intuitiveness working together hand in hand.
Hmm. Yeah, it lays out a picture for you and a story, and then the reader, they can read that and tap into the person's energy and cut and regurgitate what that story says, and it's pretty magical.
Oh, it is.
Um, I just recently did a reading for someone, and we don't know each other, and I looked up his chart. I looked up both. I looked up he might even be in the chat. I don't know, but um, I looked up the tropical and the sidereal, and I kind of correlated them both, and I looked for similarities, and then the things that stuck out. And then I did a reading for him. And he was like, "How did you know that? How did you know I have like bad feet and ankles?" I'm like, it's just your chart. Like, it's just like, and then I was like, don't worry with work, everything's going to be fine. Just, try to like set your ego aside, blah, blah, blah. And he got a raise. So that was kind of cool. So
Fantastic.
it's fun to hear people respond that way. It's like, oh, okay. Cause sometimes it's like, man, I hope I'm on the right path here. And then when they're like, dude, that was great. It's like, makes me want to do more and more.
Oh, you're spot on. When did you when did you find you had a connection to the tarot?
Well, I was told that you're supposed to get tarot. Well, okay, so let me just go back. My aunt, maybe like 12 years ago, I think, or maybe even before. No, that it was like, shoot, maybe 15, 20 years ago. I don't know. Time flies. But she bought me
It
my
does.
first set of tarot cards. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? You know? So that to me was the universe telling, because me and that aunt, we don't really talk. So for her to send me tarot cards, I was like, that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
And I started working with them. And one night I was sleeping and I woke up, went to the bathroom, came back, and the tarot cards were spread all over my bed. And all of them were face down except for one, and it was the death card. And I was living with roommates who were a couple, and I said, I think this is for you. And because they were going through a separation, and me and her ended up losing contact. We had a horrible, like, it was just the death card, you know? And I was a little freaked out by it. I'm like, why are all these tarot cards on my bed? You know? So um, I just left them. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna, this is a little too, because this was before I got into spirituality and stuff. Like I was like, this is intense. And then a couple years later, I went on My Mind is Over Your Matters channel, and they were always doing cards and stuff, and I was like super interested. So um I got some, just a regular deck of cards, not tarot, because I was practicing, I think you pronounce it cartomancy, I think is how you pronounce it.
Mhm.
And basically you just read deck of cards. You learn the numbers and the suits and all that. And then I was like, just got more into tarot because the pictures were pretty and I felt like they could explain a little bit more. And yeah, and so I just think that when my aunt bought me that deck of tarot, I think that that was kind of what planted the seed.
I think you have a spirit guide as well. For them to simply show up on the bed and for them to be all face down and
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's someone like knocking, going, "Hello."
Yeah, you're about to go through a
Yeah,
rocky ride, so
yes.
hold on.
You know, is what as they used to say in the Addams Family, "We've been expecting you."
Yeah.
So,
I
that's
was like,
exact
"No, no, I wasn't ready
uh-uh,
for it."
I ain't, you know, I ain't messing with that shit. No way, man. Because I come out of a background, where divination, I mean, that's like that's one of the heavy sins. You get into divination and, well, you're just part of the devil's group.
Right. And
Yeah.
I know for sure that I was burned before in a past life for being a witch, which just is a healer, an intuitive. Like people like us, we may have, if that still rules, those rules were still happening, we probably would be dead right now, but like we're back, so, and we
Your
brought a
green
lot of that
eyes
knowledge
is,
with us.
as you know, are very magical. And my wife has green eyes, and my ex-wife had green eyes, so and red hair. So, um, yeah, it's a well, and I'll just speak openly. It's a quality of a woman who has red hair and green eyes is very special, and they typically all are empaths and very prone to what we would call occultism.
Yeah, I have a lot of signs in my chart that
I bet
are
you do.
occult. The
I
eighth
can.
house is loaded. It's loaded. And I'm a Gemini like you are in tropical, and my rising sign and my moon sign are Scorpio. So I'm very in tune with the energy and emotions, and and then all
Ah.
these eighth house, and then 12th house too. So yeah, so it's
Sometime
definitely
we'll have to do a
meant to be.
comparison on a panel, and we'll all compare our charts together, and I think it would
Yeah,
be
I bet we
yeah.
all have occultic signs and houses.
Listen, I have a whole group of former friends who will tell you he's gone to Lucifer. He's gone to the dark side, and they're praying for my soul, and they weep because my name has been taken out of the Lamb's Book of Life. But what I keep telling them is I've never been more freer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, um, I love myself. Do you know, for 40 plus years, I hated myself inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's most of our issue, we
Yeah.
come in here not being good enough, always striving for more, always,
Mhm.
and that's the big part of when you start to realize that we're more than just this body. It's very empowering.
And when I stopped seeking approval of others and started seeking the approval of myself, my wife will tell you things changed in our house, the energy changed. Yeah. What is this?
I'm still working on that approval,
Yeah,
approval of
well,
self. I'm getting there, but
yes, we
it's
all
taking
will.
some time.
It does have its challenges. It does. I'll tell you, I I am more appreciative of the sensation of life than I've ever been in my life. It's quite yeah, when you get there. Well,
I feel like I'm going back. I know we're probably almost done, but I feel like I'm going back to my youth in a way, because like you
mm,
said, when you're young, you are more, you're more open to things and
yes,
stuff like that. And I used to believe I could move the trees with the wind
you can.
and it's like and I was more accepting of myself before all of the worldly struggles started to beat me down. And now it's like I'm going back to that. I'm trying to learn to work with my inner child and like love her and be fun and playful and love and just being loving to other people. Like I shut myself down and I was afraid to show the soft gentle part of me, and now it's like I'm relearning how to be the true me, and it's a beautiful thing.
I I know I can sense as you were talking that little girl, she's a rascal, and I think you're gonna find that you're gonna really love her. She's whimsical, but she's also magical, and,
Hmm.
I see that in your life.
Yes, I
And
do.
you talk about parting the wind, one of the best clips I saw, paranormal caught on camera was, a wizard, a young guy, he was in his, early 30s, and he started showing how you can begin to generate. We're going to do it as a group because the leaves are coming down now, and this is the time to do it, where you can begin to generate your field and it will start stirring the wind. And if you continue to focus in on that, it will become a literal wind tornado. So, yes,
Hmm.
I
I
get
believe
excited
that.
talking about it. I mean, because it's
Yeah, I've
real.
watched my friend when we went camping and we had a campfire. The smoke was going all up in my face, and he's like, "Watch this." And he sat there and he just accepted it. And he was like loving the smoke, and the smoke was just going all like around him, not in his face at all. He moved it just by loving and accepting it. I was like, "What?" So it's
Oh,
possible.
oh, Amber, you're a far out soul. Love you, girl. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
you've
I love you
got
too.
such positive energy. Thank you for being a part of this group. We're all better for it. And I just
Thank
tell
you
you,
for
and
having me.
we'll have you on a second look. Trina says, Amber, you are amazing in revealing the mysteries of the inner child's power. It's such an important part. And it's so
Yeah.
true. Trina, we got to have her on. I think it would be a fabulous discussion. So
I
we'll
love
get
you,
off time.
Trina. You're so sweet.
Well,
It makes me feel good.
you know, we're all, someone said it yesterday, we're transducers. We really are becoming this powerful group.
Yeah, I love everyone's just attention and focus and caring words, and everyone's very supportive, and it's a
They
good
are.
group to be in. I'm really happy to be a part of it.
And we're all learning to trust each other. That's the one thing. I'm seeing the barrier start slowly to come down. And as that trust begins to continue to increase, our magical abilities are going to rise with that as well.
Yes,
That's just what I got to say. Well,
removing the blockages.
yes, we have. Well, Amber, we're going to have you back on. We'll see you on Friday, right?
Yes, I'll be
Yeah.
there.
All right, folks. Make sure to tune in early on Friday. It's amazing. This is the place to be, I'll tell you. And I have no doubt in the months to come, many more people are going to be coming. And you do readings. I left your contact info on the description box, as I always do.
And
And now,
just
go
please
ahead.
just email me for readings, not for a date, okay? I've already had a couple people go, "Hey, let's hang out." I'm like, "No."
I guess that still goes on, doesn't it? I mean,
I mean, it's flattering, but
you're hot, girl. That's all they're going to say. That you're hot, you know? And it's the old thing. The beautiful ones are always taken, you know? So you're beautiful and I can understand that. But guys, if you want the reading, she'll tell you about yourself, and that's a different thing than yeah. I didn't
yeah,
know that, but Amber, that it's actually kind of flattering to hear that. And people are loving it. People are giving you the
yeah,
high five. Yeah. And they could see, yeah, well, I could see. Hey, listen, I think, yeah, I think the guys who, wrote, um, you know, sorry guys. I mean, I think it's cool of you, but hey,
yeah.
all right. Amber, stay with me. And folks, we'll see you tomorrow and definitely see you on Friday. And thank you all. Amber, you're a beautiful, beautiful soul. And
Thank
what a blessing just
you.
to have you. This really is. All right,
Pleasure.
folks, we appreciate you. We will see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.